So what eventually happens in all of this is the senses begin to dominate my experience on earth. So what I see, what I hear, what I taste, what I can touch, this begins to dominate my life on earth. And if I'm not conscious that there is a soul behind all of this, and I'm not conscious that my spirit body has other abilities, and my soul even has other more advanced abilities, if I'm not conscious of these things, I will become very, very dominant physically. I'll become focused on the physical world and life. Now, the more focused on your physical world and life you become, the more dominant you become with regard to how you use your mind. You just end up being in what I would classify as a mind-emotion cycle of the emotions measuring the senses and your mind responding to those senses. And if you're not careful, in that place you will ignore spiritual qualities. So, love is a spiritual quality. If you're not careful, if you use these senses in a way that is just to satisfy the senses, and that's it, you will eventually compromise issues of love. Now, an example of that is, let's say I love the taste of food. Who doesn't love the taste of food, right? So I love the taste of food so much that I decide I'm just going to eat all the foods that give my physical body an instant hit, an instant like sensory response. So those kind of foods are often foods that are very bad for you. So things like sugars and sweets, those kind of things. Salts, if we go too far there, it's the same. So what we end up doing is we end up deciding to eat poorly, as people would say on earth, eat out of harmony with the health of your body, because the senses are driving you to do that. And if you have no control over that, if you decide to have no control over that, can you see, I'm just going to get bigger, more and more unhealthy. Eventually I might die. My body might die from a disease caused by the lack of health. My teeth probably rot out of my head if I have too much sugars, for example. I remember one of my sons actually did this. We gave our sons quite a degree of freedom, and one of my sons decided that he was going to buy, once he was 15 or 16 and started to earn a wage, he decided he was going to buy a stash of lollies and keep them in his side drawer of his bed. So he had his whole side drawer with 3 drawers stashed with chocolates and sweets. And so, of course, you know what happened after a few months of that, right? Everything with his teeth started decaying quite rapidly after that, right? And once he realised that, of course, he started to then control his behaviour. But if it wasn't for him realising, he might have ended up with no teeth at 25, if he wasn't careful. So this is the thing, is what we do, you see. We become so sensorially dominant, and if we're not careful and we don't use our assessment, our self-awareness, which is actually a spiritual quality, if we don't use self-awareness, we'll eventually make decisions that are very damaging to our body and therefore our life on earth. And you see this happening all the time around the world, right? People dying all the time from what you would call self-caused illnesses and problems. In fact, as the medical profession nowadays knows, that it's a major problem on earth. Huge amounts of cost to society is caused by people responding to their senses only and not being wise in the way in which they're used. Yeah?